live. This is crazy. Um, I'm going crazy. Dr. Carter,
What's happening?
what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm blessed, sir. How are you?
I'm great, man. Can't complain. Can't complain at all. Just waiting for we got some people loading now. Got Kia just got on. How you doing, Kia?
Hi guys, I'm doing fine.
Awesome, awesome. So, while we wait for Mike, oh, he's right here. Boom, Mike's loading in now. Mike, how are you, sir?
Mike,
Hey, can you see me? All right, hell yeah.
Yeah.
What's up?
what's going on?
Hey, I see you got the beard, man.
Yep, big. I'm the bearded man now.
That's what's up.
So, well, before we get into the swing of things, I just want to make a formal introduction for those of you that may be unaware. My name is Darius. I'm the executive assistant over at Social Currency. Then to my right, if I got this correct, we got Dr. Dog King Carter, the CEO of Social Currency, present.
What's that?
And then right beneath me, we got Miss Kia, the mastermind strategic COO. She don't have her face card up right now,
Sorry
but we
guys, I
have
got
her
a
present
chemical
in
peel a
attention.
couple of days ago. My face is peeling horribly, but I still wanted to make it.
All right, and then we also have Mike Boyd, who is the artist relations and music strategy lead over at Vayner Media, and he wears a number of other hats as well. But yeah, so just to kind of brief everybody, as we got more people loading in, this is the first episode of our something we're doing on a weekly occurrence called Money Making Mondays. And in short, we want to create a safe space, um, just just for people to tap in and really get more insight on how to make money, but also different ways you can save money when opportunity presents itself in the music business. Now, this topic or subject matter for today in particular, we're going to tap into how to monetize or monetization using social media, because as I'm sure everybody on this live can agree with, we're living in a digital age now where everything is pretty much interconnected. You got different avenues from, the TikToks, the Trillers, to Instagrams, Facebook, and all these different mediums where content is key and things are happening in real time. But there's also a way that we can make money from what we're providing to the community, whether that's as a creative or as an artist. So, just to kind of brief you all on our special guest, Mike Boyd, again, outside his affiliation with Vayner Media, he wears a number of hats. He's also the manager for the, I guess you would say, anonymous or faceless super producer, uh,
Richie South, yeah,
Richie
man.
South. Yeah.
Hell
And
yeah.
yeah, so but yeah, before we get into all that, Mike, I want you to just kind of take lead and just brief people on your background and why you're somebody of influence in this sense to enlighten us on this subject.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of music background, tour management, artist management, video director, producer management with Richie South at the moment. But with this background, I mean, I've been working at an ad agency for 11 years, so we do a lot of social media, we do, and I work with Gary Vee. So anyone who's watching, if you don't know who Gary Vee is, he's a entrepreneur, tech guy, really big on social media, inspirational. And basically, like, I just in and out every day. We're doing influencer work, we're building relationships, we're adding value, and so I learn a lot of different ways to really get the most bang for your buck. You know what I mean?
Mhm. So
Oh,
now, I kind of want to start at like a grade level because me personally, I don't know about anybody else, but I have a surface level understanding on what monetization really revolves around. Like, it's black and white for me. I just think of running ads all the time. Like, that's just the go-to thing for me. But I know it's a layered effect. So for those that may not know, social media monetization is kind of redundant because the definition is in the words, but that's a different way that you can monetize using your social influence or your social audience. But Mike, can you kind of expand on that? If you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, what I wanted to actually even talk about is like outside the box ways, you know? Like, for example, like different ways to really like add value and maybe not monetize like immediately, but monetize over time. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
You know, not always shoving down an ad down someone's face, or you know what I mean? Like not always just pushing for a sale, but more so adding value and building these relationships that then build your brand and get you out there and make you way more sales, you know what I mean?
right. Okay, so since you have this idea, I know there's not like one set formula for success. And granted, the things that you're going to touch on come from an experience base. So let's start from square one. What comes first, the brand, building the relationships, or like where do you start?
I guess you got to start with the brand, you know, because you got to really have a vision for what you're representing before you go out there and build relationships, you know?
Mm-hmm,
And one thing I wanted to talk about was like influencers, right? So
mm-hmm,
if you're an artist or a musician, like let's say you're one of Carter's artists that he manages, right? If he sees that the artist is from, you know, North Carolina, South Carolina, wherever, but they're getting a lot of streams in Kentucky, it's like, or they're selling a lot of merch and it's getting shipped to Kentucky. It's like you'd be like, wow, there's something happening in that city or that state. Let me get some influential people involved, like in promoting what's going on. Let me like maybe take a trip with my artist to that state, film some content. You just add value and make it win-win. You know what I mean? Because
mm-hmm.
as the artist gets bigger, the influencer's reach gets bigger with them, and then the influencer makes the artist bigger, and it's just win-win because you're like, hey, you know, I might not be the biggest artist, but I'm popular in your city. You know what I mean? Or I'm
Right.
popular in some angle that's going to help you too. I just think when people start spending money without like having a plan on how everyone's going to win, it always almost ends up as a bad waste of your. It's like what do you know what
Mm.
I'm saying? It's
Right.
like if you pay me to help you out with your career, like you should be helping me too. You know what I mean? And then we both grow, we both over deliver. You know, like you go hard, I go hard, and like we all win at the end of the day. You know, like you make the money work even harder by like adding value. You know, you don't just give me a check and say, okay, do your thing,
Right.
and we'll see what he does. You know, like don't just do that.
So, how do you dictate value, or much rather, like when you have people that may not be afforded those opportunities to know what's going on around them? Because I mean, clearly, not to sound too redundant, but earlier I mentioned how we're living in a digital age. Everything's so connected, right? So, to some extent, to be a successful creative or a successful artist, you have to have some form of online presence. But everybody doesn't always have their ear to what's going on with social media. So for those people that may be uninformed, what do you feel like is a way or avenue that they can go around that while still getting that information, but just not being tapped in?
Yeah. Let me know if this is going to answer your question. If it doesn't, you know, I can try again. But I think that if you don't have a lot going on, like you don't know how to use social media, you don't have a lot of followers, like I think what you could do, for example, is I run a playlist. So you know artists make money off streams and blah blah blah, but get their name out there. But it's like if you jump in my comments and you say, "Hey, add my song," it's like you're not adding any value to me. You're kind of almost spamming me. And
Mm-hmm.
I think like even if you're no following, you don't even have a profile picture. If you DM me or you comment, but you say something smart and something that like catches my eye, like me personally, I check out the music, you know, every time. Like if someone's like, "Hey, you know, I really think you should check out this artist. They just did a song with whoever, they're about to be on double XL, like they're about to do this or that. Like when someone says something like that, it catches your eye and you're like, okay. Like you didn't just say, check me out and ended it there. Like you added context, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Now, I love that word, man, context. But something dope that you also touched on is facial recognition or not having that icon or profile picture. So, because there are some people that like to maintain a low profile or be incognito in a sense. But especially on this side of things, when you're in the entertainment industry, there has to be a sense of familiarity there. Like people have to be able to connect a name to a face, especially while you're building out a brand. So, how important is it, because I've struggled with this as well in the past before. Like you have to have some type of cohesiveness across the board when it comes to your social profiles, and whether that's the same picture here or the same username there. You know, is that like a priority, or is there certain levels to it, or how important is it for you to maintain that commonality across the board?
I think it's crazy important, man. And even like down to the name, you know, like what's funny is, you know, some artists talking about musicians again, but some artists like, and I get it, it's fun, but like, you know, they might have their artist name on Instagram and then they have a nickname on TikTok. And that could work, you know what I mean? Like it works for super celebs and stuff, but when you're a normal person and you hear a song on the radio and you Shazam it and you live wherever and you're not in the music industry, you know what I mean? Like you're just like, that was kind of hot. I want to know who that was. If you search their name and it doesn't come up, you're not going to search it twice. You know what I mean? It's like, or like if you, you know, or if you're walking to a small business, you walk into a store and on the way out, you take a picture of the name, you know, above the door. And then you go home and you Google it because you're like, yo, I need to buy something for my friend or my wife or my kid or whatever. If it doesn't come up, you just move, you just keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I get when like you know, we all love Young Thug and his Instagram's Thugger, maybe Thugger1 or whatever, and it's fine because he's a celeb, he's huge, like he's doing his thing. But like when you're starting out, you might want to make your stuff your real name, you know what I mean? Or like your business name across the board everywhere. Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also one tip too is like you don't want to put official at the beginning if you could help it. You know what I'm saying? I know some people can't help it, but like you don't want to put like a number. I know a lot of people do it, but like ideally you start with the word that people are going to type because then it'll populate. You know what I'm saying? Like if your name or your store name is like Charlotte's Best, right? You don't want to make it official start Charlotte's Best because when people type in Charlotte, you don't pop up right away.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I think a lot what you're hitting on too is search engine optimization, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now that's definitely something big too that a lot of people may not have prior knowledge to, but can you kind of just give like a condensed or a Spark Notes version on how important that is, especially when it comes to branding?
Yeah, I mean, that's why people do interviews. You know what I mean? Like no matter, and just get your name out there because no matter like you got to be humble. You know what I mean? It's like if someone comes in your store and they're like, "Yo, I want to do a write up," like do the write up. You know what I mean? It's like the more that's on Google, the more that's out there, the higher you're going to show up in results, like search engine optimization. You know, like
Right,
and one thing to answer your question, man, about this and about retargeting and Instagram ads is getting a team of people. You know, like I know not everyone could afford it to start out. But like I know it's how I operate, and I know it's how a lot of people operate because I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at, you know? Like there's a guy I work with, his Instagram's Nick dot community, right? Um his real name's Nick Bolin. And I actually told him I was going on this interview right here, this like conversation piece we're having. And I told him I was like, I'm gonna shout you out because if I ever had to run Instagram ads, I would call Nick. You know what I'm
mm-hmm.
saying? It's like it's kind of like use your network. And Nick and me are friends because we used to work together. But it's like I know not everyone could pay for everything, but like if you know someone
Right.
who knows how to do it, ask for a favor. You know what I mean? And like just see what they say. A lot of people are gonna do it if you're really friends. But I think a key thing is like I don't know how to do search uh like SEO stuff. I don't know how to do retargeting Instagram ads, but it doesn't mean I can't get it done. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, definitely. I definitely understand the nature of your team effort you touched on, because that's something where we pretty much pride ourselves on over here at Social Currency. Like, that's literally embodies the essence of what we're about. It's a real team oriented initiative here, because there's so many different moving parts that it's impossible for one person to cover all those bases. So I definitely touch in agreement with what you're saying. But not to circle back, man, because I'm just trying to analyze everything you're speaking on. You alluded to, the startup stage, the beginning, the intro, which is something that a lot of successful people don't really touch on. They tend to focus on the highlights without paying homage to how they got to that point, which is real vital and important information that a lot of people need. One of those people being me, myself. So when you think about on what it takes, I don't want to say break into the industry, but to cross over that threshold of starting to gain more traction and notoriety in terms of like branding, and before you get to the monetization part, how do you, or because we are our biggest critics, so I don't want to say how do you not get caught up in the results and trust that process and don't compare yourself to people that you want to emulate or model after, but how do you, or what is some good advice or sound advice that the next person can take in an effort to stay resilient and just to really trust in what they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to be your passion. You know what I'm saying? Like, because people could tell. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with music. Like to talk about music again, it's like when an artist drops a song, if they're not feeling it, everyone could promote it. The record label could promote it. Like you could get a billboard, but if the artist isn't feeling it, they're not going to perform it. You know what I mean? Like anyone who's worked with artists, that like they're very involved with the set list. You know what I'm saying? Like and
Mm-hmm.
like you know what I mean? Like artists tweet, right? So like if they're not feeling it, they're not going to promote it. Not as much. They might have to, but like if you're really feeling a song, you're going to go stupid hard for it because it's like what else would you do? That's your song. You know what I mean? If you're really feeling a product, you're going to go stupid hard. So I think when you're starting out, I think the main thing that a lot of people don't do, maybe because it's annoying, is kind of like figure out who is giving you a chance and go extra hard for them, or at least learn about them. Like, and it's probably not anyone you know. You know what I mean? It's like how, again, about musicians, it's like a lot of times musicians blow up in a city they're not from. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like as the first city that has their back because like, your friends and family, they'll help you out or whatever, but a lot of times the like people who don't know you look at you at a higher level. You know what I mean? Like someone doesn't know you, they're like, "Oh man, that guy or that girl is like untouchable. Like that guy or that girl did it. Like that guy and girl like have it figured out." But like someone who knows you, they're like, "Oh man, I went to school with him or her." Like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh man, they used to like shop at the grocery store next to me." Like those type of people, they will support, but I don't think they support first. I think the people who support you first are a lot of times people you don't know. So I think it's kind of like having the humility to be like, "Hey, super person 123 on Instagram, like, why did you buy my candle from my small business, and how could I make it better next time?" And just get their email, make an email list, like. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing I wanted to say is like, if you realize like you're in Charlotte, but all your customers are in Philly, tell a local Philly store, be like, "Yo, I got 100 people buying from me, and they're all in Philly. Like, can we get in your shelves?" Like, I'll email the whole buyer group, and I'll tell them now we're in Philly, now we're local or whatever. But I think it's all about just like figuring out who's messing with you and going stupid hard for them. You know what I mean?
Right. Nah, so support those that support you. I mean, I definitely get it, because it's one thing to be successful because everybody has their own interpretation of that. But I feel like that's one unique way to pay it forward also, and to keep yourself humble is by not forgetting, who helped you along that way on your come up. But when you start to like think about, I mean, not to sound too redundant again, but still talking about that brand development stage and being in the process of the come up, when you start to think about those things, like, what do you feel like is a common misconception that a lot of new artists tend to have about the music business, or how quick things tend to happen?
Um, yeah, you know what? I was just talking to an artist about this today, and they said that they said something real interesting to me. You know, I like they've been around the game for years and they've been behind the scenes, they've been in front of the camera, back and forth. And I asked them, I was like, what'd you learn from like doing all that? And they said that what they learned is that a lot of times when you have a lot of fear about a song, these are their words. Like they said a lot of times when you have a lot of fear about a song, that's the song you need to drop. And to me, it was kind of like, hey man, like you're being vulnerable and maybe showing a side of you that people either don't know or might not like. But that's what you need to show because it's like that's the only thing that's going to set you apart. You know, it's like the artist I was interviewing even said, you know, sometimes I think to myself, man, that's a hit. He's like, then I drop it and it's not. But he's like, the ones that I'm afraid of, they're like my biggest songs at the end of the day, and it's hard to do. And like he said, he even doesn't do it all the time, even though he's given this piece of advice. He's like, I don't even follow it all the time. But like, you get what I'm saying? It's kind of like
Right.
when you're an artist, I think you need to realize that like you're never gonna. Well, who knows? Anything's possible, but it's harder to make it. I think when you overthink it. You know, it's like Young Thug's brother, Funk. You know what I mean? Like he's like on his latest album, his song, track two, it's called Trial, and he says,
Mm-hmm.
"You should have seen my mother's face when I lost my trial" or something. You know what I mean? And it's like when people hear that, whether they've been to court or whatever, it's like you connect with like his vulnerability and how he like talks about his mom crying in
Mm-hmm.
court. You see what I'm saying? It's like he
Yeah.
could have rapped about anything he wanted, but he told his story, and it's like whether you like him or not, it's like he's putting himself out there and it's working. You know what I mean? It's like I think
Oh
for any
yeah,
artist, yeah, that's starting out, you just got to be yourself and believe in yourself because like if you don't believe in yourself, like no one's gonna believe in you. You know what I mean at all?
bro. I couldn't agree with you even more because I just feel like a lot of times, especially at this stage or in this generation, people tend to get caught up in a lot of gimmicks and antics and a lot of distractions instead of just getting back to the sense of pure likability. Because the way I see it, people are going to gravitate towards you for different reasons. They're going to gravitate towards you for your music because they like you, because they like what you're saying, because they like how you dress, or they might like how you carry yourself. But I think once you get back to that sense of just identifying who you are as a person and letting your art speak for itself, that's another way to have that personable feel from where you talk about being vulnerable and having that that sense of relatability with who you're appealing to. So I definitely touch an agreement with what you're saying there. But I see how you just quoted somebody from a recent interview you just did, but I want to quote something that you said in a past interview. But
Oh, cool.
I think it was to the tune of important people often show up early. And I don't know why, but that just really stuck out to me the most because, growing up, my mom used to always tell me the early bird gets the worm. So it kind of ties into that same saying. But is that does that apply to do you still have that same mindset today in everything that you're doing? Because I know you're always pushing the pen and you're a student of the game. I mean, at one point you was a blogger, then you're Gary Vee's right hand man. I mean, so you wear all these different hats and you have over 10 years of experience being in this business. So when you think about that quote, I mean, what's the first thing that comes to mind today?
You know what's crazy, man? That is first of all, that's crazy that you even like watched that interview or read that or whatever. Because I did say that and I meant it, and that's cool, man. I appreciate it. I'm like honored and humble that you did that for real. But
For sure.
um, yeah, you know, life is crazy, man. Like I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, but I live in like New York, New Jersey, and stuff. And like I've done a lot of things that a lot of my friends growing up never did. You know what I'm saying? So like it's just crazy. But at that point in my life, the reason I said that was because when I moved to New York, I didn't know anyone. So like, I mean, I kind of knew like a handful of people from school or whatever, but I didn't really know anyone in the music industry. Like I was no family members out here. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I'd get invited to like KRS-One listening party. You know what I mean? Like it's New York City. You know what I mean? So it's like you got KRS-One, and then you got Future's, first New York show at SOBs. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Right.
like or Pusha T doing whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's the vibe up here. So like, because it's a big city and everyone comes out here to show out. So like, you got a lot of cool stuff going on. Then you got local stuff, but like, um, no matter what it was, I just showed up early because it's like, why would I
Mm,
show up late, man? It's like I don't know anyone. And what is so interesting, what I learned was all the important people showed up early because they had to be there for work, you know, or like
mm,
they were putting on the event. Like you got to think like if it's your event, you're gonna be early because it's your job, but also just to make sure things don't mess up. You know what I mean? It's like you got to make sure like if there's going to be 50 people, you got to make sure there's like table space for 50 people. So when I would show up early, I would see someone who looked cool. Maybe they're wearing cool clothes or hat or, you know, standing by themselves at the bar
mm,
or whatever. And I'd just go up to them. And the cool part was I didn't know anyone, but we were at the same event. So I'd be like, let's say it's a 2 Chainz event. I'd walk up to someone and I'd be like, hey, how's it going? You work with 2 Chainz? Or I'd be like, oh, you work with Def Jam? Or like whatever, you know? And then
mm,
they'd either say yes or no. If they say yes, I'd be like, oh, that's awesome. Like I'm Mike. I do this, that, whatever. Like I'm here for this reason. And if they say no, I'd be like, oh, well then where do you work? So it's like no matter what, it's like I opened with like our common thing that we were both at this event, and then I
mm,
figured out where they worked. And it's like it was surprising that all these people who were early always had some cool jobs. So I just like would be like, oh, cool, let me get your number. Or if it was too weird, I'd be like, let me get your email. I'll email you what I'm working on. But like, yeah, the important people show up early, and it's like also you got to think like at these events or whatever. Like towards the end, there's too many people. People been
yeah.
drinking. People trying to go home to their families or trying to get home because they got work the next day. So it's like if you're really trying to make moves, you almost have to be early.
Mm. Nah, you're right. And just to not be too much in your business, man, because I love to do studied conversation. So I studied you before we got here. I'm, that's kind of how we got to where we are now. But I'm saying that because I think another story you touched on was I forgot what event you were doing, but you had referenced distinguishing between how you labeled a certain section. I think it was you didn't want to call it a VIP space. You wanted to call it the arena for the basketball for what was going on. It's escaping me now, but you didn't want to call it a VIP space because that would set the wrong impression that it would just be accessible to anybody with VIP bands, which I know that can be a tough position to be in because you can't rub elbows with everybody. So I'm saying all that to say like when it's time for you to make those tough decisions, especially when whether it's you're on your way up and you're building out a team and it's somebody that you've already been familiar with, or it might be somebody that you have a good relationship with, but on the business side it just may not connect, or you may have to bump a few heads. Like how do you discern between what's works best for you on the personal side and what's works best for you on the business side? Because your brand is everything. So
And you mean like deciding who to work with?
yeah, because especially like when you got to think about it, like when you're building something, and a lot of times artists, I don't want to say they fall victim to um wooden nickels, but sometimes you could be excited or just adamant to just jump on any and every opportunity that may present itself because it sounds good, but you never really know what is in your best interest ultimately. So when you think about analyzing that, because you never want, a lot of your insight comes from experience based, but everybody might not be afforded that opportunity to intern somewhere or to be at the right hand of this person or to be afforded certain opportunities to be in certain spaces. So when they have a platform like this to live vicariously through what you're saying and through to what Carter has said and through what Kia had, through their respective lives, what do you feel like how do you discern between making those tough choices, because it's not going to be a cakewalk the whole way.
Yeah. Um, I think that well, I mean if this isn't answering your question, I could try again, but I
Mm,
think the thing to do is figure out what you're gonna get out of anything and make sure you get it, right? So like let's say I'm going to some event or you're an artist and what's funny is sometimes artists tell me like they pay to perform, right?
mm,
And I know like 99% of people would be like that's really stupid. You know what I'm saying? Or like why would you do that? Don't pay to perform, wait till you're bigger and then you'll get paid to perform. But one thing I said, I was like, you know what? I get it though, because if you have a good camera person or a friend with a good iPhone or whatever the case may be, and you really believe in your performance and you really know how to put on a show, and you're going to open for whoever, like let's say it's like 1,000 person venue, but you know it's going to be packed because the headliner is really dope, um, and they're going to charge you 350 to perform. Just pay it if you can, and have your friend make some killer video, and then
Yeah.
use that video to get booked later. You see what I'm saying? Like, don't pay to perform if you're just gonna perform and pray to God that like you get signed from someone in the crowd. Like, don't do that. But like, if you have a plan and you're like, worst case scenario, I'm walking out of this with a video that I could show everyone, post on my social. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, even if you're
Right.
not an artist, it's like if you're putting on if you're attending some event and spending your time doing it, you're starting out and you don't have a lot of time to waste. It's like, make sure you're getting something. Like, always think about worst case scenario, like just always be like, worst case, I'm gonna leave with blank. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, worst case, I'm going to this concert, I don't want to be there, but I'm gonna leave once I shake the hand of whoever, the manager,
Mm.
the artist, the promoter, the DJ, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going, I'm gonna meet whoever, and then I'm out.
It just seems like you're big on objectivity, man, and not going into something blind. Like you got to
Yeah.
have some type of game plan in place. But we've been on here for about 30 minutes, man. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time here. This is just I talk a lot, if you can't tell. And once the conversation is going, man, it just starts flowing out of me naturally. But I think I want to leave it off here. And then I'm gonna present the opportunity for a few questions from people that's been tapped in this whole way. If you don't mind, is that cool with you?
Yeah, I don't mind. I've never done this. I've never done an IG live. I don't even know where the questions are, man.
So if you look where the comments are, I'm pretty much just going to scroll. But like I know there's one person asking a question earlier, but I'm gonna get this last one in, and then we'll see what we have awaiting here. But because this is something that I've even struggled with outside of the business side, just in personal and different parts of life. Like, how important is it to be consistent?
Okay. Yeah, consistency is everything. I'd say don't even do something if you're not going to be consistent, right? Like, if you're going to do a podcast, or like, for example, my playlist, um, today was the 190th week I've done it in a row. So I don't know how many years that is, but like every Monday for the last 190 weeks, I've done the playlist. And like, for some reason, a lot of holidays have fallen on Mondays, and like it'll be like, yeah, no one has to work on Monday, but it's like, well, I got to work because I have a playlist. And it's crazy because some people depend on it for their workouts. Like some people will tell me, they're like, yo, when I go to the gym, I listen to your playlist. So it's like showing up for people who depend on it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what's a good quote? Um, Someone
For sure.
said, you got to do stuff in a way that people would miss you if you left, right? So it's like, I'm doing a playlist, but I'm
Wait,
not
wait, wait.
doing it.
Can you say that one more time? I need y'all to make sure I write this one down because I'm taking mental notes right now. You just say it one more time.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a quote I read, but the quote is, you got to do things in a way that people are going to miss you if you stop.
Mm.
So it's like, if you're making music, selling things, making a playlist, for me, it's like, I got to do the playlist in a way that like people are going to miss it if I stop. So it's like, yeah, some people tell me that they use it at the gym. If I stopped, then they wouldn't have music for the gym. Like, I try to put on emerging artists, like, I like it when an artist has less than 1,000 view or streams, and then I playlist them and I put them towards the top, and then I check the week later, and even if they only have like a couple thousand after that or whatever, that makes me happy. Like, that's the happiest thing for me, because then it's like, this young artist is like, yo, like, you helped me. And sometimes I playlist someone, get them a couple thousand, and then they get on like Spotify's release radar, or like bumps the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Mm.
that's why a lot of times, like, some big shot like Drake or something will drop a song and I might not playlist it, but it's because that's not really the point of the playlist, because he won't miss it if it's gone. But you got to cater to people who are going to miss you if you leave.
Mm. Sounds like you big on creating impact, and I think it's dope that you tend to spotlight the people that may not have that eye on them just because the numbers on the line. Because a lot of times, people get swept underneath the rug, just because the influence doesn't appear to be there. So I think that's right there. Look, your kid hit it around the head, creating impact beyond visibility. That's exactly where I was going with it. But we got Carter back in here too. So Carter, you got anything you want to say to Mike or before we get into these questions from the viewers?
Nah, y'all pretty much y'all covering everything. I love it. I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm
Yeah,
learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning
we
too.
see we see you driving to some big meeting, bro.
Right, we've been on the phone. We've been on here about 30 minutes. You still driving?
Yeah, yeah. I'm riding. I got my driver right here.
No, but so
I'm messing with
actually,
y'all.
Mike, look, I figured it out. You see where the plus sign is at with the camera? There's a question mark beside it, and that's where people can ask questions at. I'm still going to do some scrolling, but we have a question loaded in now, and it's from Versatile Rare. No, Verse Rare LaFleur. That's a tongue twister. All right, their question is: do you see the music game coming to a more genuine point with contracting?
With what? With contracting?
Yeah, I'm sure I read that. Yeah. So do you see the music game coming to a more genuine point with contracting?
Okay, do you think they're talking about like business contracts with the record labels? Or
Yeah,
what do you think they're talking about?
Rare LaFleur, can you expand on that? Because at first, the way I'm going to interpret is I'm going to assume they're saying, do you think people will be more upfront and direct about what the full scope or the intentionality is when you're getting into a deal? So it might be on the business side, is the way
Yeah,
I'm reading it.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I do think things need to be more genuine and upfront, because it hurts everyone when you're like doing bad business. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, in the past, big artists have signed bad deals and then it gets exposed. And yeah, the artist is probably embarrassed, but like the business person who signed them to a bad deal is embarrassed too. And then other artists are like, man, screw that guy or girl. Like, I don't want to be around them. I don't want to do business with them. You know what I mean? Like sometimes even
Right.
like I work with inexperienced people who are smart and maybe have a lot of money, but I tell them, I'm like, you can't burn a bridge. Like
Mm,
this whole industry and all of life, not even music, but just in life, there's a lot of people who just gonna stab you in the back and leave you for dead. And like you just gotta know that, and then you're not gonna be so shocked. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like when you
right.
work with someone, there's a chance that they're gonna stab you in the back and leave you for dead. But as long as you know that when it happens, you're not gonna cry about it and whatever. You're gonna keep it moving, be the bigger person, and maybe you work with them again later. Like I've done that a million times. People have cut me out of deals, and then years later we do huge deals together. You know what I mean? That's just the game. But
So
yeah,
it's kind of like expect the worst, but hope for the best.
yeah. And what's cool about it is when you expect the worst, hope for the best, you also tell people like, yo, don't ever do me a favor. Like, because sometimes artists will approach me early in their career and be like, yo, if you help me out, I'm gonna give you this or that. And I'm always like, you don't have to give me anything ever, bro. Because like, like don't worry about it. Like I'm helping you out because I want to. If I didn't want to help you out, I wouldn't. Like if I didn't believe in your career, I wouldn't. Like I'm helping you out because I need to, because that's what I do. I help out people I believe in. And if you
Mm,
want to help me back, amazing. But if you never help me back again, like it's no big deal because I'm not doing it for that. Like don't ever feel obligated to do anything for me because like I'm doing things because I need to do them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like as long as you make it clear, it's like yeah, like in the future, things might not go great at one point, but maybe years later they'll go really great. But like, you don't owe me anything. I don't owe you anything. Like, it's respect. Like, I respect Carter, right? And we've known
mm,
each other for years or whatever. But like, he doesn't owe me a favor. And like,
mm,
we do things for each other, but it's not like obligation. Like, you know what I mean? We do things when it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, he's working with a
mm,
lot of artists, right? And he's working with a lot of artists, and they're dope. And like, I check out the music. I'm not always the first person to like tweet about it or playlist it, but I am watching, and
right.
I do my best. But like, he's not at my throat being like, "Oh man, thought we were friends." It's not like that. It's like I do my best. He does his thing. He hits me. I hit him. It's like that's the game. You know what I mean? Like I really like him. He's a great guy and like we get along, but it's like that's the game. It's like no one really owes you anything. It's like you
Mm,
mess with people that are cool. You know what I mean? Like he's cool. I mess with him because I like him.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, nah.
Vice versa, Mike. Vice versa.
Yeah, I see you touching agreement there. But look, oh man, the questions are loading in now. Okay,
Let's
so
go.
we got another one from I am Justin Reed, and his question is what is your biggest advice when it comes to pitching for a playlist? Parentheses, Spotify, Apple, etc.
Um, don't give up, okay? Because like for example, with me, the people putting together playlists need you too. So it's like, it's like sending beats for a rapper. Um, like you might see Young Nudie or whoever put in their story, send beats now because he needs beats now. Like sometimes I'm putting together the playlist on a Sunday night. Or for example, today I was about to publish the playlist. I checked my email. Someone I do not know emailed me and it said, "Hey, I don't even know how they got my email. It wasn't even my email. It was just something that went to me because they spelled my name wrong or something, but it got redirected to me. And
Wow.
they were like, I want to be on your playlist." And so I just hit the link, listened to it, and I was like, yo, this song is amazing. So I threw it on the playlist. You know what I mean? Like, you just gotta, it's almost like right time, right place. You know what I mean? Like, just don't give up because, like, you need help. Like, you need that help from someone or you want to be on that playlist for that extra boost. Just don't give up. You're not annoying anyone.
Mm,
Like, and if you're annoying them, find someone you're not annoying. Maybe you don't need to be on Rap Caviar. You know what I mean? Like maybe you need to be on a smaller one, and then when you get on that smaller one, you tell Rap Caviar, "Hey, look, I was on this smaller one," or you're on mine, right? If you're on
right.
my playlist, then you tell Carter, like you're trying to get signed to Carter, right? You get on my playlist and you tell Carter, "Hey, I was on Gary V and Mike Boyd's playlist." Then he's like, "All right, cool. If Mike likes it and Gary co-signed, maybe I'll check it out." But like, you got to start at square one before you go to square freaking 10. You know what I mean? Like, you're not on Rap Caviar out the gate.
Right. Man, and what's crazy, I mean, there's nothing wrong with shooting for the stars. By all means, you got to have high aspirations, but I definitely wish a lot of more that would register with a lot of other people because people tend to just go straight for the high without working their way up because it's kind of ties back into that dynamic of building with people on your way. Because the more you build these organic relationships and you start to really tap in and build a fan base early on, it's only going to strengthen and amplify tenfold. So that was a great question, Justin. Appreciate that. But let's see. We got light. What is this? Light brighty. Yeah, light bright tie or light bright. It'll be. What do you think is the best way to make a great impression when networking? Like, what would make you say, "Hey, let me check this person out for real"?
I'd say just if you know who the person is, then say something that's going to help them, right? So like if you're like going to an event to meet someone, like for example, you're going to an event to meet Carter, right? You do your research and you're like, "Hey, you know what? The baby's doing pretty good. But this other artist, I know how to do videos and I studied that artist's music and I could really do a video for that person." So when you meet Carter, you say, "Hey, I love XYZ artist." And you pull up on your phone. This is the video I did, and your video has animation or whatever. And you're like, "I'll do a video for free just to show you how I'm doing videos, or I'll give you a
Mm-hmm.
discount, or maybe you can't work for free." You tell them, "I charge X amount." But you say, "Trust me, you pay me X amount, I'm going to over deliver." And then
Mm-hmm.
Carter's like, "Oh shit, well, this person already knows my artist. This person already has a vision. This person is ready to work right now. And maybe I need a video." He's like, "Just do it." And then next thing you know, you're freaking real goats. You know what I mean? Like, next thing you know, you're on the road with one of these new artists. And that's also how you blow up. You get in with the new artists. You don't freaking do a video for Drake and become famous. You do a video with XYZ artists at the beginning of their career, and 3 years later, now you're famous.
Mm-hmm. But see, man, I think people tend to shy away from that word, like that free. They don't
Yeah, you
see
don't have to do it.
the
You don't have to
value.
do it for free. You don't have to
No,
do it
but
for
see,
free.
but at sometimes though, it's kind of like a double-edged sword because you may not. It's just like sowing a seed. It's all about your faith in that sense. Like, how much do you believe in what you're doing? Because a lot of the things you do for free, they may not be a monetary sense, but there's some sacrifice and gain involved. It's not always, financial. It could be a holistic type of growth that comes into play. And it could just be delayed, because sometimes
Yeah.
those seeds got to harvest and manifest themselves. But I just find that funny how you touched on that, because a lot of people tend to shy away from exercising that ability to do stuff for free. So
Well, you know what I got to say too, and this is important for people to understand, especially if you're inexperienced, is that life is extremely unfair. So like, yeah, it's like no one should work for free, and I pray that no one has to. But life's not fair. You know what I mean? Like when I moved to New York, sometimes I slept on the floor at work. I didn't want to, but it was the only way I got to work first. You know what I mean? Like I'd be the last to leave, first to show up because I never left. I just slept on the floor. You know what I mean?
right,
Like, and that sucked. But like, life sucks. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, like I don't want to work for free. No one does. But like, you get what I'm saying? It's like life sucks. So like, you got to make the most of it. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, not to interrupt, but I work for free forever. I work, hey, and I still do stuff for free. It's sometimes you got to take advantage of those opportunities. You just got to,
yep,
because you can't, like, some stuff is worth more than money. Worth more than that monetary right now value. You have to be able to just like dive in and go and know that something else might come from this. You might have a better opportunity to come from it, or just get that experience.
yeah,
Yeah. And you know what else? People could start saying, instead of saying those words like work for free and this and that, they could say, I choose to invest in myself. I choose to like, it's like paying
mm,
yourself. It's like building your resume. It's like going to college. You know, like you pay X amount of money to go to college. If you were going to charge $500 for a video and you did it for free, then you basically just paid $500 to yourself or whatever to make that video to build your resume. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I know some people need money for food or rent or whatever, and like maybe you can't do it, but if you can do it, it's an option, man. And like life is not fair, so maybe you got to do that to get in the game. You know what I mean? Like it sucks, but like sometimes you got to do it.
and even if it's free, you get to gain some social currency, man. So that's invaluable right there. You know,
Hey,
that's
name
invaluable.
drop.
You know, I wish I had a bomb. We could, click the button right quick. but nah, I mean, I definitely feel like this has been a great conversation. We're almost going on an hour here, but I promise I'm gonna let you go unless anybody in the audience has any other one more question I want to get in right quick, or that gonna close the gate. Well, yeah, I don't have any. I don't have any more questions for you. I mean, if you give me
I
a
have
second,
one really quickly.
oh, okay,
Mike, do
kid.
you have any book recommendations?
Book recommendations.
Yes.
Um, okay, so I wish I had more. You know what I mean? I wish I read more. I have Audible. But I will say, when I was in college, I worked for Sycamore, who's like part of like Travis Scott's whole situation. Um, and he has good book recommendations. Like if anyone listening wants to like jump in his comments and be like, "Hey, I'm looking to learn. Can you tell me about a book?" I'm sure he would because he's a really nice guy. But he told me to read the book Tribes. In fact, before I even got to work for him, he told me, he said, "Read this book and then we'll talk." And when someone says something like that, I read the book. I bought the book. I read the whole freaking book. Then we talked, and I was like, "Yo, man, like I learned XYZ from the book." And he like, first of all, like he saw I was serious because I read a freaking book. You know what I mean? Like he probably gets so many people trying to work for him, and he's like, "This kid read a book, so like I'm gonna give him a shot because he's not full of it. Like he's really down to work." So like I read Tribes. If you guys really want to read books, read anything from Seth Godin. It's Godin. All of his books are good. They're all about marketing. He's a genius. You know, like when he dies, people are gonna be like, "Damn, he was like one of the smartest people in marketing, and now he's dead." Like that type of vibe. But all of his books are good. I think one's called Purple Cow. Like he has a email newsletter, but Seth Godin, he's a freaking genius. So like, just read his books. Obviously, Gary V. You know, he wrote Jab Jab Right Hook, Thank You Economy. So I mean, I'd say start out with those people, but shout out to Sycamore because and I learn a lot from Sycamore because he's always been like a mentor to me ever since I was in college, and I really appreciate that. But the book Tribes is what he told me to read. You know what's funny? I think that's Seth Godin too.
Well, if anybody needs any help on spelling, Kia definitely drop that in the comment section. That was a great question too, kid, because I definitely need to get my knowledge up as well.
Yeah, you know, it's like you listen to music in your car all the time, which is amazing, and I do it. But like, you know, maybe spend like 20 or 30 minutes listening to an audiobook, because why not? You know, mix it up. Probably help your brain anyway. Like the get it going on a different direction. It's like music, 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 than audiobook. It probably just make you feel better.
Well, well, Mike, I think we could leave it out there, man. I can't thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Can't say that enough. Kia, thank you for putting this together. Carter, thank you for just being that great influence and voice that you are. Mike, thank you for your time. I'm seeing more questions come in right now. But what I think we're gonna do, just for the timing's sake, if anybody has any questions, feel free to DM them over, and I would do my due diligence to get them over to Mike to see if we can have him on again for a later episode, or get those questions answered for you.
Yeah, yeah. If anyone wants to ask me like, if anyone cares to ask me a question or something, you know, just DM me. I'll see it. And yeah, I'd love to come back on. And the last thing I got to say is something that's really important, is that what's funny is, like, you might not understand why Carter does something a certain way, or why I do it, or why anyone on this call does something, or you'll be like, you know, I emailed this person 15 times. I don't get why they didn't reply to me. The thing is, when you live long enough, or you get experience, or you rocket ship to the top, and you're in that person's shoes, then you understand why they do what they do. Like, you don't know how busy Carter is until you're that busy. And then you're like, oh shit, you know, I was young and I got mad that he didn't email me back, or I got mad about this or that. But now that I'm in that position, I get it. And that's just true with life. Like, you might be like, I don't understand why that person over there said that, or I don't understand why that person's so angry at the grocery store or something. It's like, because you don't know what they're doing or going through. But once you get there, or if you have a similar day, then you get it, you know? Like, maybe their dad's in the hospital. You don't know until you're in the same situation, and you're like, oh shit, now I get it. So, like, that's just life, man.
You're right. You're right. And life
And we're
does tend
doing
to throw
and we're
its
doing this every Monday. So everybody, we're doing this
yeah.
every Monday. Money making Mondays.
Yep.
Let's go.
Kicking week one off with Mike Boyd from Vayner Media, excuse me. So Mike, thank you. Everybody viewing, we'll see y'all next Monday. So stay
Thank you,
tuned.
Mike. Thank you, Mike. You're the best, man.
Yo, thanks a lot. This was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was dope.
All
appreciate you,
right.
brother.
Bye.
All right, y'all. Y'all take care.
All right. All right.